I still remember the day I stepped onto the college campus for the first time. It felt like stepping into a new world, exciting, overwhelming, and a little terrifying. The air was filled with the buzz of conversations, the smell of coffee drifting from the campus cafe, and a sea of unfamiliar faces rushing in every direction. It was nothing like high school. No one was there to guide me, and for the first time in my life, I realized this was it. I was on my own. I clutched my schedule tightly in my hand, scanning the maze of buildings to find my first-class introduction to philosophy. I had no idea how much that class would change the way I saw the world. But at that moment, I was just trying not to get lost. "Hey, are you lost too?" a voice asked behind me. I turned around to see a guy with messy hair and a backpack that looked like it was carrying bricks. His smile was easy, like he wasn't worried about anything. I laughed nervously. "Is it that obvious?" "Kind of," he said, tilting his head toward my crumpled schedule. "I'm heading to philosophy. You?" "Same," I said, relieved. And just like that, I made my first friend in college. His name was Jason, laid back, funny, and the kind of person who could make any situation feel less serious. As we walked to class, I realized something important. College wasn't just about classes and grades. It was about the people you met, the conversations you had, and the stories you shared. And I was about to collect a lot of stories. The first few weeks felt like riding a roller coaster blindfolded. Some days, I felt unstoppable, like I could handle anything life threw at me. Other days, well, not so much. I'll never forget my first philosophy paper. I stayed up all night writing it, convinced I had produced something brilliant. I handed it in with a smile, already imagining the professor's praise. A week later, my paper came back covered in red ink. Unclear thesis, weak argument, and my favorite. Is this even a point? I stared at the paper, stunned. I had never failed anything in my life, and here I was barely scraping by. For a while, I thought about quitting. I told myself maybe I wasn't smart enough for college. But then, something shifted. One night, sitting in the library surrounded by books and half-eaten snacks, I realized something. Failure wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Instead of running from my mistakes, I decided to learn from them. I met with my professor, asked questions, and rewrote every paper, sometimes twice. Slowly but surely, I got better. And with every step forward, I learned a lesson that would stick with me long after college. You don't fail when you fall. You fail when you stop getting back up. In the chaos of midterms and essays, I found my people, friends who felt more like family. There was Mia, who could turn even the most boring lecture into a comedy show. Rachel, the quiet one who always seemed to know exactly what to say when life got tough. And of course, Jason, the guy who had saved me from getting lost on the first day. We were an odd mix, but somehow we just clicked. Late-night study sessions turned into deep conversations about life, love, and the future. We celebrated birthdays with cheap pizza and soda. And on the hardest days, we reminded each other to keep going. One rainy night, after a particularly brutal exam, we found ourselves sitting on the steps of the old library. The air was cold, the kind that makes your breath visible, but no one wanted to leave. "Do you ever wonder what life will be like after this?" Mia asked, her voice soft. "All the time," I admitted. "But maybe the point isn't to figure everything out right now. Maybe it's just about showing up, one day at a time." Jason laughed, shaking his head. Look at you, getting all philosophical on us. But that night, as the rain fell around us, I realized something. College wasn't just about preparing for the future. It was about living in the moment and the people who made those moments unforgettable. If there's one thing no one tells you about college, it's this: dreams are messy. When I first arrived, I thought I had it all figured out. I wanted to be a writer, simple as that. But by my second year, doubt started creeping in. Was writing practical? Would I even make a living? My parents wanted me to study business. Writing is nice, my mom said carefully. But wouldn't you rather have a stable career? I didn't have an answer. For a while, I tried to do both. I took business classes by day and worked on my writing at night. But the more I juggled, the more exhausted I became. Something had to give. One night, after a particularly stressful economics exam, I called my grandfather. He had always been the voice of reason in my life. "Follow what makes you come alive," he told me. "The world has enough people playing it safe." His words stayed with me. The next day, I dropped my business major. I was terrified, but I was finally being honest with myself. By senior year, things felt different. The campus that once seemed enormous felt like home. I knew the shortcuts between buildings, the best spots to grab coffee, and the quiet corners where you could escape the noise. One afternoon, I got an email that would change everything. An internship offer from a major publishing house. It felt like a dream. For years, I had imagined this moment, and now it was real. But, as excited as I was, a part of me felt scared. What if I wasn't good enough? What if they realized I was just a kid figuring things out? On my first day, I showed up an hour early. My hands trembled as I walked through the glass doors, but I told myself something I had learned over the past 4 years. Being afraid doesn't mean you're not ready. It just means you care. And I cared a lot. Graduation came faster than I expected. One minute, I was pulling all-nighters and stressing over finals, and the next, I was standing in a black cap and gown, staring out at a sea of proud faces. As I walked across the stage, I realized something important. College wasn't just about classes, exams, or even a degree. It was about the person I had become along the way. I had learned to fail and get back up. I had found friends who became family. And most importantly, I had learned to trust myself. The truth is, life after college didn't magically become easier. There were still doubts and hard days. But no matter where life took me, one thing stayed the same: I kept showing up. And sometimes that's all you really need to do.